Hi there, Sam Sorbo for the Accidental Homeschooler. Thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about history, and actually I'm going to answer another question that a viewer brought up, and I really appreciate it. Craig Maroney said, bring recognition to the Forefathers Monument. It's the largest granite monument in the United States, and it has been censored. And I will bring attention to it because, frankly, it's fantastic. I hate to admit, I didn't know about it until I learned about it from Kirk Cameron through a movie, which is a lot of fun, a really good documentary that I recommend to people, but I don't think to recommend to them the monument itself. And I recognize that I should, and so thanks to Craig for bringing this up. He said it's a blueprint to save America, which I suppose is true. And most people don't even know about it, which is absolutely true. I think that goes without question. The National Monument to the Forefathers, formerly known as the Pilgrims Monument, okay? It commemorates the Mayflower Pilgrims. So it has history, it has romance, it's inspirational, it's uplifting, it's captivating, it's storytelling at its finest. It commemorates the Mayflower Pilgrims. It commemorates going all the way back to our founding. Now, it was dedicated in 1889, but it honors the Pilgrims' ideals as were eventually embraced by the United States. So it sort of predates and postdates, in a sense, because it acknowledges from where we garnered our values that we enshrined in our founding documents. It's thought to be the world's largest solid granite monument. I haven't seen it personally. It's up in the I think it's in the Northeast. And according to the movie and the guy who is showing Kirk Cameron the monument in the movie Monumental, so it's hard to forget, it's the movie called Monumental. I highly recommend it. I'm sure you can stream it online. Watch it with your kids. You know, I think documentaries kind of get a bad rap, and they shouldn't, because they're fantastic, and your kids ought to be interested in real life. We should not be overly encouraging our children to sort of go live in fantasy worlds, which through video games we sort of are. The guy in Monumental says it reminds us we are in a relay race. We're in a relay race of history. I love that phrase. We're in a relay race. And hey, son, the next generation is counting on you to carry the baton. And I'm going to pass the baton to you. And you're going to carry it for the next generation, because we're in a relay race. I love that imagery because it's true. And I will say this, you put your kids in public school and they are not taught that they're in a relay race. They're taught that they're in it for themselves. That is a recipe for sorrow, frankly. That's a recipe for disappointment. It's a death sentence. Well, if it's all about me, why bother? Just for a moment's happiness, and then I die, and then nothing, blackness, there's nothing there. Come on, folks. We can do better than that. And so even if you need some time off and you're just like, oh, I just can't deal with it anymore, just get your kids the books to read. Have them read some more. Get them history, get them historical fiction, get them classic literature. So that, why do we do classic literature? Why not just give them Twilight Zone? Not Twilight Zone. What is it? Twilight? The Twilight series, or I can't think of, Pulp Fiction type books. Why am I so hyped on the classics? And the reason is because the classic tales the reason that they're classics is because they are sort of universally applicable. And they tell good stories that challenge our thinking, that enlighten, that children's literature now, youth literature now, is so far gone. They have, first of all, there's a lot of pornography in the youth literature of today. But more than that, there's what's it called? Violent porn. It's not porn, it's violence, okay? And shock essays. And so, and this is in just like the popular literature, I shouldn't call it literature, the popular writing, the popular books. And they have a formula. And so every 5 or 10 pages, whatever it is, there's like a shock scene. And it keeps the kid reading, and they get hooked on the violent imagery. It's terrible. It's terrible what we're doing to kids. When we should be slowing them down and challenging them to think and use your brains. All right, that may be a discussion for another day. I got to think about that. In any case, Monumental, highly recommend that film. Kirk Cameron, and of course the Forefathers Monument, which is featured in the movie, among other things. So the movie's great. The Forefathers Monument is also great. You can look it up. You can look it up online. You can do a bunch of research about it. It is a very cool monument. You could start with the film. That makes it really easy because you know what you're going to be looking at. And maybe challenge your child to write an essay about it. And this is something that I've struggled with my kids recently, because they're growing into young adults. And they think that because as they're raised, you assign an essay and you say, write an essay about this book, or write an essay about this topic, and pick a thesis, and then defend your thesis, and then be done. But what happens is they fall into this sort of trap that they think they're just supposed to blah, 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 and finish. And so now I'm challenging, as they get older, you need to challenge them to bring new thoughts into the conversation. I don't want you to just tell me how big the painting was, what it's made of, when it was painted, who painted it, what it depicts, what colors are in it. I don't want that. I want your impression of it and your evaluation of it, your valuing of it. I want you to think about your values in relation to it. And so when you assign the essay about the Forefathers Monument, think about challenging your child to evaluate it. Why do you think they thought it was important in 1889? Oh, there's a great question. What was happening in 1889? Was something happening? Maybe just with the people who were erecting the monument, or maybe something that was happening globally at the time. They thought, oh, we have to spend money on this, because they spent money on it. It's the largest piece of granite as a monument in the U.S. That's a big deal. And they didn't just say, let's pick that piece. They went, well, what's the biggest one right now? And let's go get the next largest one. Or something like that, right? Anyway, challenge your children to think, and challenge them with understanding that they are part of the relay of history. All right, that's it for me, Sam Sorbo. Go to samsorbo.com. All the links are here in the description. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great weekend.